that comes down to the ride along earlier. I thought of this earlier. So a ride along gives you an opportunity to see if you will be a good fit there too. Like, how would I like this place? How do I fit in with these people? During a ride along, you're likely to be exposed to the basic the conversation, just the interactions between officers in the squad room, and a taste of the culture. So it'll be a little bit guarded because there's a stranger there, but you can't help but get a taste of the culture. How do they treat each other? What kind of humor do they have? How often are they interacting in a positive way? Are they interacting in a negative way? Are the
citizens, how do they respond to
right
the sight of that uniform showing up?
And so I think during a ride along gives you a chance to go, would I like to work here? True, and be honest with yourself, because the last thing you want to do is commit yourself to a career in a place that you don't fit in with the officers. And culturally, sheriff's departments, police departments, one agency to another, they're going to be different. Mm-hmm. Some people love the culture and the size of a small agency, a medium-sized agency like ours, or a very large agency like others. So where you fit is going to vary by person, and so a ride-along gives you an opportunity. Now, in the old days, we would say, take the first job that comes your way, whoever offers you a job. And there's still some truth to that, because you never know how one day to another is going to go for you in a background process or an interview process or a testing process. So like, if you get a job offer, seriously consider taking it, even today in today's job market where candidates are few and jobs are many. But also make sure you're working in a place that you're willing to work in. And so I don't know if you have any comments on that. Yeah. And I think you can see it in a ride along. And if you can go on multiple, like our agency, because we are trying to recruit the best possible candidates, we encourage candidates to come out. We will get them in a cop car from the moment they take the PST test, or frankly, from the moment they express interest in taking the PST test. Yeah. We will hook them up with a ride along, and more than one, and try different shifts. Graveyard culture, night shift culture is going to be different than swing shift culture, than day shift culture. And that's true in no matter where you're working. And so
Friday night is different than Tuesday morning.
Yeah. Yep. And despite what I think I often hear people say, well, I want to ride on a weekend. I'm here to tell you, there's no guarantee a Saturday night is going to be better than a Tuesday night. It's going to be different, right? You'll have what you get on the weekends are the working class, the working people who are out at the bars and things like that. But that is just a sliver of what we do. And so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights can be every bit as bananas, and in a lot of ways busier than a weekend night, where the bulk of the people who are out and about are just normal folks. So try different days, try different shifts, try different departments.
Exactly.
Make sure you pick an agency that you're willing to work at.
We often get the question of why us. And as I talk about our agency, I talk about things that allow you to do things other than patrol. Patrol being the backbone of any police agency. Mm-hmm. But what else can you do other than that through your 20 plus year career? And I talk about the numbers of people that do things. And we work for an agency that we're blessed that we have a lot of different opportunities for being a medium size. And the way that we approach training, in-house training, we don't outsource a lot of our training. We'll send people to go get trained and bring it to us. Mm-hmm. And opportunities to ride bikes or fly drones or just all these other ancillary
things. Do SWAT,
things.
do detectives, do street crimes.
Detective, street crime, canine.
Yeah.
Agency A may be a bigger agency, but how many people percentage-wise are doing those things? Yeah. We recently, a couple of years ago, had a bike class, and administration said, who wants to be a bike officer? Everyone who raised their hand got to be a bike officer.
Yeah.
Now, in a bigger agency, they may have a dozen bike cops, but how long are you going to be a patrol officer until you build a resume to go through a selection process to maybe get one of those spots?
Yeah, right.
Right? So Or you don't want to do that, or you want to do civil evictions of people. Well, don't go to a police department, go to a sheriff's office. You want to work major traffic reconstruction, consider the Washington State Patrol.
Yeah, right.
They're experts at it.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of extra detective type things that you can grow into and be all across the state.
Yeah. I've mentioned before I started at a smaller agency, and I was afforded a lot of opportunities there, and so I don't regret the start I had, but I do remember very specifically right before I left for the police academy, I was driving around with another officer waiting to go to the police academy, just buying time, just riding shotgun, and we were sitting at a blinking four-way stop, and the officer, he was grouchy that night or something, and he says, ugh. And he said something negative about like just basically being bored. And, we hadn't had a call for service in a while, and he was bored. And he's sitting at this blinking four-way stop. And I'm 21 years old, and I'm like full of fire, and I'm ready to like get back and do cop work. And I push back on whatever negative thing he said, and he goes, "Trust me, someday you will also get bored of driving circles around this town." And so, again, I'm full of fire. I push back. And then I remember years later sitting at that four-way stop, and I'm just going, I am so bored driving circles around this town. And it was just because of that fire to want to do, detectives and specialty assignments. And just, I have nothing negative to say about that agency. They were very good to me, but I wanted to do cop work every day. It was what I was made for it.
You're
felt
wired
like
for it.
And so I wanted to go to an agency that was just a meat grinder, was the reputation that our agency has. And some people think that's a negative reputation, but what that's referring to is like an officer on day shift, swing shift, graveyard, like you are just running call to call to call. And that's what I wanted to do. Now, not everyone wants to do that, and that's important too. Like some people like the idea of being able to be deliberate, be in a slower place, like the agency I came from, and really get down to the nuts and bolts of community policing and things like that. And that is great. What I wanted to do was just run like my hair was on fire from call to call to call to call.
Catch criminals, put them in jail.
Every day I wanted, and what I remember not long after transferring over is I just like I would end a swing shift and we were running like whatever 90 calls for service in a 7-hour period, and just our small team just running call to call to call, coming back in after a day just sweaty and run ragged, dragging our bags in, stuffing them, and you just feel like we solved every problem in the entire world, like nothing else is undone. And so you would come back the next day and it would be just that again, and you're like, yep, how is this possible? Like, and they're different people with different problems, but at the end of the day, they're all the same problems. There's different people. And actually, on that same note, no matter where you work, cop work is once you get in on the front porch, like no matter how big the city or how big the county or whether you're whatever, once you're on someone's front porch, like cop work's cop work. I've trained with cops from East Coast to West Coast, from the South to the Pacific Northwest, and cop work is cop work. Once you're in someone's living room, it's professional problem solving and life coach. And so, but that's what I wanted. I wanted to turn over rocks, go to the jail several times a day. I wanted to run like my hair's on fire. That's not for everyone. And that's important to consider too.